So I'm making that distinction too. And if anybody at the NSA wants to slide me a DD-214, I would be more than honored to accept it.
Now, have you had any problems with these government agencies harassing you on a regular basis?
Yes.
Have they ever...
I've had contact, emails, Facebook, Twitter. I get these really cryptic messages that if you don't understand the jargon involved, you would think they were just greeting me. One message was, I would really like you to help somebody. And I just flat out said, I'm not going to kill anyone for you. Well, we're not asking you to. We just want you to help her. I'm like...
No, I take it help means terminate them.
Usually. This was someone I was told had killed 6 men, good agents, and they wanted me to help her. I mean, read between the lines.
Yeah.
So I just flat out said, I'm not killing anybody for you.
Now, what's going on with Washington, D.C. from, I'm going to go back, and I mentioned this the other day on the show, but the Nimitz, the aircraft carrier 2 years ago, the 2 pilots ran across a UFO. They tried catching it. They had their afterburners on. They couldn't even get near it. It didn't leak out to the news media for 2 years after it happened, and all of a sudden it started hitting the news media. And then after that happened, we had the secretary, a few months later after that leaked out on the news media, the secretary of the Air Force to graduating cadets told the cadets the next World War will not be on the ground. It's going to be out in space. Then 2 months later, Trump jokingly, says, we need to create a space force. And then all of a sudden...
And then he did.
Yeah. And now it's part of the Air Force, and they're trying to get funding for it. But it tells me
Solar Warden is part of the Navy.
Pardon me?
Solar Warden is part of the Navy, just so you know.
I didn't know that. But I think probably, they're covering up for some reason. I don't understand why all this is coming down right now. I mean, there's a lot of people...
Because I will let you and your listeners in on a open secret.
Please do.
The treaty with the tall whites, the guys that live in Area 54 in Nevada, in an area known as the Big Sheep Reserve, their treaty is up this year. And they are demanding the right to walk freely among us and retain the right that they've had prior to kill anyone who touches them or gets between them and their children.
Seriously?
Seriously. It's not negotiable. And the American government is so addicted to their drip, drip, drip tech that they don't have any options. So they're going to have limited disclosure because of the tall whites.
Yeah, because right now I know so many people in the UFO field that are so positive that disclosure is going to happen not a year from now, not a half a year from now, but almost at any time.
Well, have you been listening to Randy Kramer?
No, I
past
don't.
6 months. He's been talking. He's not a whistleblower. He's a spokesman for the Space Marines. Okay, so he is a representative of his division. Where I'm someone saying the atrocities have to stop, he's someone speaking for his bosses. And he's been on this trail talking about that the Department of Defense wants to host a hoax war with the Mantid Empire. Not the Mantids from Mars, but the ones that we've been getting tech from for a long time. That they want to do a hoax war with real human casualties as a way to unite the population against this ET invader, and then a couple of weeks down the road say, oh, we were just kidding. We're all good friends.
Interesting. But why would they want to do that? I would think...
Because they cannot see any way to unify the people and leave them in charge.
Yeah, because I would think it would be a way to rein in, the population, scare them, where they could take martial law and do all this stuff and take control of everything.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought when I first heard it. He presented this at the conference we spoke at in October, and I'm sitting there on the same panel with him. My jaw dropped open, and I said, no, the Mantids are healers. You do not bring them in. And he says, but that's exactly why. It's because they're not murderous. And I'm like, Well, they fit the description. They're 9 feet tall. They're scary. They don't look like us. And I'm like, no, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable in the slightest. So that was the big fight that we had at Stargate to the Cosmos, was arguing over his Mantid invasion. So I was the leader of the side that said no. Actually, I cussed, but I'm trying to keep it clean on your show.
Okay. So you think we're close to having a so-called invasion?
It's in the works because he's trying to promote. He's trying to generate consent for it.
Interesting.
So that's one of the options. We also have a collection of smaller, non-hostile races that would like to have official first contact with the people, and they're being led by a rather passive group of Greys. Yes, there's more than one kind. And they've got a collection of, I believe it's 35 of the more genteel races that would like to make first contact and bring humans on Earth officially into galactic civilization and understand what our responsibilities are as a galactic citizen, since we've got at least 4 militaries out there creating havoc already. So they understand that the base population has no clue this is going on. So there are options. We do not have to go with a hoax war.
Yeah, but how could you stop it if you have the underground government or the government or whoever's involved in it to initiate it? Well, that's why I'm trying to say this is not a good idea. I don't think it would be, because, at that point, I don't know, maybe it's a way to just basically get control of the people, and put it this way, it's a good way to even get rid of some of the population. Well, they've been trying to figure out how to limit the population for a while. They'll tell you it's because we're running out of food, but the truth of the matter is it's because when we hit 9 billion population, we become telepathic, and they will not be able to keep secrets from us anymore. And they're trying to prevent that at all costs. That is very interesting. Now, when you were on Mars, now Obama, there is a lawyer, and I can't think of his name, up in Longview. Andrew Basiago. I don't think that's him. It's another one in Longview. that said he was in the secret space force. He was transported in in an elevator, and that he was with Obama, and Obama was there when as a kid.
You there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, that's Andy Pajago, and he's been public for a long time, and he's currently having eye surgery. But he went through the jump gates. But he was part of the CIA's group, and his father was CIA, which he talks about, and he was in an American VIP section, and they spoke English. And there was no interaction between my group and his.
Okay.
Although we were there at the same time, we were not in the same exact spot.
And the reason why they kept you guys separated?
Factional infighting. The Germans don't trust the Americans. And their development of Solar Warden is a good reason why.
Now, I got to ask you this. How did they get the technology to do all this? To go to Mars, to, create a base, go to the moon and create a base, and then plus develop all these, fighters, spaceships, and all this stuff. I mean, how?
Oh, that's a whole show by itself. There was a man in the 1500s who was the court magician for Queen Elizabeth I. His name was Sir John Dee. And he made contact with something that presented themselves as angels. And they spoke this language they said was Enochian. And when he eventually got himself in trouble with Queen Elizabeth, he went to Prussia and took all of his knowledge base with him. And he eventually got in trouble with I believe it was the Grand Duke, maybe the King of Prussia, and ended up in prison in the Vatican. And so from the 1500s until World War II, you've got this group of Prussian aristocrats who have been working on that particular set of technologies and interacting with those beings. And they started practicing, well, they were calling it spiritualism and seances in the 1800s. It was really popular in the United States. Mary Lincoln practiced it in the White House. And so they were calling in beings. They didn't know who they were, and some of them were ETs who were looking to come to Earth, and in exchange for permission to come here, they gave technologies. And the ones that history records the most about were the Gesellschaft, the Real Society, and the Thule Gesellschaft, that I guess people are calling it Thule Society. And these were branches of the Bavarian Illuminati. And they were actually making what we would call CE5 contact with ET races. They were the ones that contacted Aldebaran. They were the ones that contacted the Jahami, which is what the Anunnaki call themselves.